did you go? And why can I never cry? You're like a ghost, I can never seem to hide. Can't clear my mind all of the time, I should decide. Can't press rewind, I need a sign. I need to call you, 'cause I've been thinking about you lately. I've been thinking about you lately. 'Cause you are the only one. So far alone, where did I go wrong? You're my missing piece, and I know 'cause I lost you. But what if I could change? Would you love me the same? Or would you always drift away from me? I fear you will. Where did you go? And why can I never try? You're like a ghost, I can't see you with my eyes. Can't clear my mind all of the time, I should decide. Can't press rewind, I need a sign. I need to call you, 'cause I've been thinking about you. I've been thinking about you lately. 'Cause you are the only one.
Are you done? Are you sick of me? Don't cry, you don't have to leave. We can make new memories, baby, don't let go. I messed up, now I'm on my knees. I keep thinking how we used to be. We can make new memories, baby, don't let go.
Good afternoon, buenas tardes. If anyone needs a pair of headsets for the next session, since part of it will be in Spanish, please don't hesitate to get headsets. And at the end of the session, please don't forget to give them back at the registration booth. Thank you.
Are you done? Are you sick of me? Don't cry, you don't have to leave. We can make new memories, baby, don't let go. I messed up, now I'm on my knees. I keep thinking how we used to be. We can make new memories, baby.
Esperamos un poquito más.
I got colors in my head, feel them swirling round and round. Turn the brilliance into millions, wear these light bulbs as a crown. If you
Buenas tardes, good afternoon. With more than 500 member cities across the world, Fast Track Cities has become one of the largest and most significant urban movements of collaborative and united work. With us today, Deputy Mayor for Health of Sevilla, Mrs. María Encarnación Aguilar Silva, on behalf of the Spanish community-based organization ApoyoPositivo, Executive Director, Mr. Jorge Garrido, Deputy Director of UN Habitat, Dr. Raf Tutz, President CEO of IAPAC and the Fast Track Cities Institute, Dr. José Manuel Zuniga, the Executive Director of UNAIDS, Mrs. Winnie Byanyima, one of the greatest advocates for Fast Track Cities in Spain, the Minister of Health, Mrs. Carolina Darias. On behalf of IAPAC and the Fast Track Cities Institute, we would like to thank all attendees, not only the ones in person, but also online, for being here with us today. Tomorrow, we will resume our sessions at 9 a.m. We hope you enjoy your evening.
Good afternoon. We would like to start the afternoon session in this amazing conference that we are enjoying in Seville. It's a dream coming true to have so many mayors and projects to continue fighting for these HIV and other STDs. This afternoon, we welcome our Minister Darias. She is here with us, so welcome. I want to convey our warmest greetings on behalf of our Mayor, who unfortunately couldn't attend this meeting. I think you will see each other at the train later on. So my role was only to welcome the Minister on behalf of the City Council of Seville.
Sí, soy Jorge, Garrido, de ApoyoPositivo. Mucho gusto verte otra vez. Hola, buenas tardes a todos.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, Minister of Health, part of this essential response. Dear Nani, you're not Maria Encarnación anymore. Allow me to call you by your nickname. Thank you very much for being here. Dear José, thank you very much for your constant efforts to make sure that a strategy such as Fast Track Cities is a reality. It is an honor for me to address you in this welcome session as representative of the civil society in HIV response in our country, as the director of NGO ApoyoPositivo and as the community coordinator of Fast Track Cities in Spain. Today is not only an important day for Fast Track Cities Network, but it's especially important for the international response of community response to HIV and sexual health. Today, Seville is the best context to enhance the value of our community HIV people and their historical legacy all around the world. More than 40 years have gone by of a pandemic that in our memory connects very much with COVID-19. But even though we are aware of the huge impact of COVID-19, AIDS was a pandemic with greater, deeper consequences and problems still to solve that still have today an impact on many lives. HIV is an example of health response with great clinical successes, but is also an example of a deficit regarding psychological and social support and the stigma of involved communities. From the UN and their political representations of on HIV AIDS, they have recognized the transcendental role of the HIV community and the need to empower leadership in the systems, programs to respond to the virus, STDs, and sexual health in our countries. Community participation is an essential building block that needs to be mobilized from the public authorities in order to achieve the health goals that have been set in the 2030 agenda. If we want to see an end to HIV, we have an urgent pressing need to integrate the community action in all levels and decisions, not only as an advisory body, but as another member sitting at the working table to give a joint answer. But we've already been a role model for mobilization since the beginning of the pandemic. For us, we have been part of the research efforts such as the undetectable and untransmissible that we knew before the partner study. We have been the access gates to the system, to the antiretroviral treatment that is needed to be alive, such as PrEP, and to the prevention, diagnosis, and management of HIV, which are friendly, close, and free of stigma, thus guaranteeing the fundamental right to access to health, especially in those cities where the authorities have been a barrier to access and where these communities are vulnerable even due to their fundamental rights. We have taught live lessons to the system, resilience of having intervention models with people at the core, overcoming barriers and giving effective answers to uncomfortable questions. We've even been able to adapt to the institutional strategy of fast-track cities, and we have been the driving force of its implementation in many cities and countries, such as Spain. Seville is today the epicenter of the international network of fast-track cities, thanks to the HIV community and other partners who walk along with us. I want to thank the communities. We have also been volunteer protagonists of the history of this virus. The story of the HIV activism is about innovation, participation, but from a vulnerability position, and that's key for the Declaration of Paris. Therefore, the future of HIV response needs to have our input in it. However, it is necessary to expand fast-track scope by calling to the municipal government that they put people and HIV community at the center and to receive their support with their vision and leadership as their main tool to give an answer to this pandemic. Therefore, it's absolutely necessary that our community leadership is backed by budget items protected by loyal frameworks that reinforce our resources to guarantee universal, friendly, and stigma-free access to treatment and prevention and care for HIV, viral hepatitis, TB, and STDs. But it is also essential to tackle the mental health of HIV people and the most vulnerable communities. Our emotional life, our identity, our sexuality, gender equality, our culture, our origin roots, and other diversity that on a daily basis cause certain degrees of violence and exclusion. We need to look at our health in HIV from a wider scope so that we turn it into a public health issue. We need to put an end to the stigma for HIV. We need to stop the hate speech against LGBTI groups, women and men that are trans and non-binary people who are constantly being harassed in our mass media and in our system, and also for Black people, indigenous populations, and other populations which are excluded from our society. That is why it is absolutely paramount to face the years to come to 2030 from our reality, and thanks to the experience of the community work on HIV and the legacy they have left in our society. In this sense, the municipalities will have us as a partner. We will continue to work our magic next to your governments to join forces for a common goal that has always been the priority for us, to put an end to the stigma, to put an end to this virus. With the Seville Declaration, today we are paying a historical debt, and we pay tribute to the HIV community to guarantee their continuity. This legacy is not just a motivation for social transformation, but also a benchmark of good practices by different stakeholders to achieve public health goals and the compliance with human rights. The legacy is in our hands, and with your support, with your cities and institutions. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the conference and the rest of the time we have here in Seville.
On behalf of UN Habitat and our Executive Director, Ms. Maimouna Modsharif, I extend my warmest welcome to the Honorable Mayors, Municipal Governors, distinguished faculty and delegates who are attending the Fast Track Cities 2022 conference in person or virtually. I'm also pleased to extend our greetings to the Mayor of the city of Sevilla, to Ms. Winnie Byanyima, Executive Director of UNAIDS, to the Minister of Health of Spain, Ms. Carolina Darias, and to Dr. José M. Zuniga, the President of IAPAC and the Fast Track Cities Institute. UN Habitat commends IAPAC and the Fast Track Cities Institute for coordinating the Fast Track Cities 2022 conference in partnership with UNAIDS and the city of Sevilla. This is the third in-person gathering of Fast Track Cities since the network was formed on World AIDS Day 2014. In its design, the conference aims to share experiences from more than 400 cities and municipalities around the world that are striving to improve the lives of communities affected by HIV, tuberculosis, and viral hepatitis, but also stigma, inequity, and inequality. Key to the work of the Fast Track Cities initiative are the guiding principles of the New Urban Agenda, which reflect the fact that we cannot achieve the agenda's aim of a better and more sustainable future if we do not end the HIV epidemic, stem the TB epidemic, and strive towards eliminating viral hepatitis. This is also in line with our UN Habitat strategic plan. As you will hear throughout this year's conference, there has been great progress made by many fast-track cities in advancing their work even during the COVID-19 pandemic. Those of you who are responsible for urban HIV and other health responses have proven yourselves to be remarkably resilient. Also key to the good work that fast-track cities are advancing is a commitment to social transformation. At the heart of our work at UN Habitat is Sustainable Development Goal 11, which calls for making cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. The more than 400 cities and municipalities that comprise the Fast Track Cities network are contributing to the vision of SDG 11 and the New Urban Agenda through their engagement with local communities, which serves to increase inclusion and accountability. If urbanization trends hold, the long-term prospects point to a world that will continue to urbanize over the next decade, from 56% of the world population living in cities today to 60% by 2030. The future of humanity is undeniably urban, and we must thus strive to ensure urban sustainability, equity, and shared prosperity. On behalf of UN Habitat and our Executive Director, I wish you a productive Fast Track Cities 2022 conference. I urge you to maintain your forward momentum, not just in relation to ending HIV and tuberculosis and eliminating viral hepatitis, but also in striving towards creating sustainable, equitable, and prosperous cities and municipalities for current and future generations. Thank you.
Honorable Ministra de Sanidad, Carol.
Honorable Minister of Health, Honorable Deputy Mayor of Seville City Council,
Governor from various fast-track cities around the world, distinguished fellow panelists, including my friend Jorge Garrido, as well as Winnie, Byanyima, Executive Director of UNAIDS, and my colleague Rafe Tutz, Deputy Executive Director of UN Habitat, who are joining us by video. On behalf of the International Association of Providers of AIDS Care, or IAPAC, I'm pleased to extend to each of you an official welcome to the Fast Track Cities Conference. We appreciate the city of Sevilla's warm hospitality. We are also grateful to Spain's Minister of Health for her embrace of the Fast Track Cities mandate, now being advanced by more than 100 cities across this country. Moreover, we appreciate our many partners in designing, coordinating, and delivering this conference, including Fast Track Sevilla, UNAIDS, the Fast Track Cities Institute, Stop TB Partnership, and the World Hepatitis Alliance. We thank our sponsors for their generous support, but above all, we thank each of you who is joining us in person or virtually from across the Fast Track Cities network. Since its launch in 2014, the Fast Track Cities network has grown to more than 450 cities whose elected officials have signed the Paris Declaration on Fast Track Cities. In every region of the world, Fast Track Cities are making great strides in their efforts to attain and surpass the UNAIDS 95-95-95 targets on a trajectory towards getting to zero new HIV infections and zero AIDS-related deaths. Additionally, Fast Track Cities are engaged in innovative approaches to scale up combination HIV prevention, including PrEP. And Fast Track Cities are committed to eliminating HIV and intersectional stigma, and I am immensely proud of the movement afoot to sing the destigmatizing gospel of U equals U, or undetectable equals untransmittable. The evidence is irrefutable, and we must not let scientific ignorance or ideological values, judgments stand in our way. This year's conference is replete with ways in which Fast Track Cities are implementing innovations to reach programmatic targets and also leveraging community leadership to close gaps across the HIV prevention and treatment continuum. Today's e-poster sessions and the city case studies and oral abstracts over the next 2 days tell a very powerful story of success after success. But I want to further frame our work this week through the lens of inequities, which includes inequalities and other issues in which just being equal does not mean being fair. We all know that key populations face an inequitable burden of HIV and have unique challenges accessing and utilizing health services. Therefore, we must factor into our HIV responses how we address inequities, not only in terms of those who are living with and affected by HIV, as well as with tuberculosis and hepatitis, but also the care people are receiving vis-a-vis quality, which sadly can be very much based on socioeconomic and other factors, including one's migrant status. Even as cities hit their 95% targets, the 5% who are not in treatment or virally suppressed are often disproportionately members of vulnerable populations. And of course, we must recognize that inequities also exist within and between cities based on socioeconomic circumstances. Recent research points to intra-city disparities in which HIV prevalence is highest among the poorest urban residents who are living in what are defined as slums based on their living conditions. While we already knew it was true that cities tend to have higher HIV prevalence than rural areas, this adds an important consideration from an equity standpoint. I also wish to reiterate a central tenet of the Paris Declaration on Fast Track Cities, which is to place communities at the center of urban HIV responses. To community members across the Fast Track Cities network, I wish to say that we have heard you when you have said it is easier said than done. There are many shining examples where such engagement with affected communities is working, but we can and must do better to make real the slogan of nothing for us without us. An amorphous and overly malleable term such as placing communities at the center has little effect if it can be interpreted in a million different ways or worse, action in a way that disenfranchises those whose voice at the table and leadership are critically needed. We must thus clearly define, operationalize, and facilitate what we mean by placing communities at the center at a time when it is most critical to do so. And stay tuned for just more information on that topic during Thursday's morning's community colloquium. Ladies and gentlemen, in closing, I said earlier today that our coming together at this conference and sharing ideas, concerns, projections, and stories of hope signals a solid commitment to the values of the Fast Track Cities movement. As a set of guiding principles and a way of working, Fast Track Cities is a force for good and relevant to all settings. I could not be prouder of how far you have come and how far we will get together since we launched this movement with 26 initial Fast Track Cities on World AIDS Day 2014. If today's first day of conference is any indication, I am convinced that the next 2 days will guide our ongoing efforts to meet the Fast Track Cities' goals, objectives, and targets. Thank you.
This is UNAIDS.
Good afternoon. Buenas tardes. It's an honor to once again join urban leaders, city councilors, and conference participants to reflect on the role of cities in ending AIDS by 2030. Thank you, IAPAC and the Fast Track Cities Institute for organizing this conference. To my friend, Jose Zuniga, thank you so much, always for your strong engagement. At UNAIDS, we value our partnership. A special thanks to the city of Sevilla and Mayor Antonio Muñoz Martínez for hosting this important conference, together with my friend, Minister of Health, Carolina Darias. We congratulate the network 100% Life for the Community Leadership Award that you are receiving tonight. Valeria, you and your team deserve this award. You are a force for positive change, connecting people and movements. You inspire us. I'd also like to congratulate Amsterdam, Johannesburg, Kingston, Jamaica, Lagos, New York City, and Quezon City, who will receive Circle of Excellence Awards for their achievements in moving the HIV response forward. Cities have been at the forefront of successfully responding to AIDS by leading science and innovation and in bringing together multiple sectors and partners. However, AIDS is not over, and our response globally is in danger. The latest UNAIDS Global Report shows that progress has been faltering, resources shrinking, and inequalities widening. Approximately 1.5 million people were newly infected with HIV last year, 2021, and 650,000 died from AIDS-related illnesses. And this when we have so many tools for prevention and treatment, and each one of these new infections and deaths could have been avoided. We are here to renew our Fast Track Cities commitment to close the gaps in HIV services, to prevent new infections, and to avert AIDS-related deaths. And this by tackling the inequalities, the stigma, and discrimination that drive them. Among the lessons we have learned in tackling HIV over the years is the need for bold political leadership at every level. Global solidarity, ensuring communities are at the center of a response, and a commitment to human rights. This has been true for COVID-19 and will be true for other pandemics in the future. Ending inequalities is the most effective way to ensure we are more prepared for the next pandemic. The Paris Declaration on Ending AIDS in Cities, the Global AIDS Strategy, and the Political Declaration on HIV that was adopted last June at the UN General Assembly altogether offer a roadmap on how we can end AIDS by 2030. The global strategy acknowledges the critical role that cities play in the HIV response and emphasizes the need to focus on cities as essential partners and change agents in the response. Cities are best placed to address the inequalities that are driving new infections and keeping people away from services. We count on all of you to stand strong on rights and to be inclusive in your policies and programs. UNAIDS will be standing with you and supporting your bold leadership. Together, we can end AIDS as a public health threat by 2030. Thank you, and I wish you successful deliberations over the next few days.
Government Delegate, President of the International Association of Providers of AIDS Care, Secretary of State for Health, Executive Director of ApoyoPositivo, Deputy Mayor of Seville, authorities, HIV experts, delegates. It's a great pleasure to be here with you today, welcoming you to this international meeting within the framework of the Fast Track Cities Conference, a meeting that is a celebration, yes. A celebration because it is the commitment of all the people present here and the cities and municipalities they represent to a common goal, to end AIDS by 2030. Spain is a joyful and welcoming country to its visitors, but when it comes to people so committed to the common good, hospitality turns into enthusiasm. Welcome to Spain and the wonderful city of Seville. This is your home. Hace más de 40 años que la irrupción de una enfermedad.
For already more than 40 years ago, the eruption of an unknown disease shook the world. From one day to another, thousands of citizens all over the globe started to see how their relatives, their loved ones had to tackle an unknown and lethal disease for which there was no cure at that time. With our perspective, this may not seem too far away. The COVID-19 pandemic and the onset of emergent diseases that we thought we had eradicated made us live again those terrible years. In addition to fear, uncertainty, and death, in addition to this fatal diagnosis, individuals had to tackle something that was much harder and much more unfair, which is this signaling out the stigma the people suffering from VIH had to suffer. This meant that many people had to die alone, ashamed, without the support of their families and with a discriminatory look of their neighbors. Fortunately, the situation has radically changed ever since the deployment of preventive measures and the arrival of ARV treatments in the mid-90s turned AIDS from a lethal disease into a chronic disease. This allowed international organizations and health authorities to establish ambitious disease control targets, which have provided us with a new horizon of hope. And we are holding here the Conference of Cities that have assumed as their own goal putting an end to AIDS by 2030. This is the best legacy we can offer to the people in the future to meet the 95 target. 95% of people with HIV diagnosed, 95 of those diagnosed under treatment, and 95 with undetectable viral load, because undetectable means intransmissible, and we must insist and reiterate the importance of scientific evidence-based messages, because we cannot forget that knowledge and wisdom are the opposite of ignorance, which is the best ally of hate. Our commitment must be to health, and to life, and the improvement of the lives of people with HIV means reaching zero stigma, because stigma is the most important barrier in the achievement of these control targets. This means that no one should feel ashamed or signaled out because of their disease or sexual orientation. No one must feel discriminated against on grounds of having HIV. This movement has been the result of the commitment of activists, of scientists, of professionals, of social workers. This movement, despite the hardships experienced in the first years, is today a benchmark of commitment and consistency. The Ministry of Health, the Spanish Ministry of Health, has had an active role in this movement, thanks to Julia Del Amo, the director of the field, and all her team that really embody all these virtues. The roadmap of this government has included, since my arrival to this Ministry of Health, we have financed the PrEP, and we have funded it so that everyone that's vulnerable can enjoy this preventive measure. Nowadays, PrEP is a reality everywhere in Spain, and almost 14,000 people have started PrEP in our country. We have started a social consensus on non-discrimination associated to HIV, so that HIV becomes an exclusion criteria to public employment and action, which was honored to lead in my previous office as Minister responsible for regional policies. And we have also launched the division of HIV, STDs, and viral diseases to address everything, all these issues that have lots of things in common in terms of social determinants of health. And we have updated our protocols for the 2030, including STDs, in a strategic plan that integrates them, addressing in the sexual health of the key populations in a cross-sectional manner. Also, the universal nature of our universal healthcare system is one of the key measures of this government, because this government believes in equality and implements it. It believes in equity and it subscribes to it. And and it also believes in the inclusion in the extension of citizenship rights. With a movement you represent in response to HIV, which is inclusive, which integrates everyone, and a participatory moment with a global outreach and local action, as accredited by the importance of fast-track cities. And so the Spanish government has decided to support and join this fast-track city strategy, because cities, towns, and villages are the places where we live together. What happens at local level affects us personally, it affects us socially, and it also affects us in terms of health, and therefore any action in the local setting is crucial to end HIV. And thanks to a close collaboration of the division of the Spanish Federation of Municipalities, nowadays in Spain has 6 provincial governments and more than 200 governments, and also a community of municipalities that have joined the strategy. Altogether, 180 local entities that place Spain as a country with the largest number of cities, municipalities, and islands that have joined the fast-track city strategy worldwide. Thank you very much for helping us to achieve this. This is something we are very proud of, and I want to thank all the mayors, all the presidents that have taken a step forward and that formalized this commitment against HIV. Spain is a reference in many aspects, also in this partnership movement. Many cities founded during the pandemic anti-AIDS commissions. The support of local governments is crucial for local action, and this is why this event is so important. But also the event that will take place in a few hours with the signature of the Declaration of Seville. The government of Spain supports and will support local action, because we are well aware of the role of cities as health drivers. So we have subscribed agreements with the Spanish Federation of Municipalities and Provinces to achieve healthy environments. We are supporting these organizations. It has organized the workshop of Spanish municipalities with the funding of the Ministry of Health, and also thanks to the work of ApoyoPositivo. I want to thank all the public and private entities that have supported these meetings, especially the pharma companies that have made it possible. It's possible to IAPAC for providing us with a global tool for local action, and also to UNAIDS for offering us the tools, and also to the municipality of Seville, to its mayor, to its deputy mayor. Because thanks to their commitment, Seville and Spain are the capitals of the world in fighting HIV. We have always believed in the fact that we must share what's things that are done well, and so we are happy to be the venue of your conference. And I must say that the Spanish government is committed to fight stigma, and so in the presidency of the European Union, Spain will hold in the second half of 2023. This aspect will be an important element of our work. We are heavily committed to your cause, which is also our cause. I want to remind you that President Sanchez already announced some weeks ago a new contribution of 130 million euros to the Global Fund to fight AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria. This is the way we understand we have to tackle HIV with commitment, with actions, and with resources. This is a special day, at least for me, because we've been fighting for many years. For many years, we have left people behind. Or nowadays, or today, our memories are with them.
Es verdad que la
It is true that it's something very touching. But if we know what we have achieved over these years, and if we can share it with all the people here in the room, and also those following us in streaming, with them sharing a common goal, it's really exciting. And this is why I'm aware of the achievements we've made, but I'm also well aware of what we had ahead of us to end HIV as a public health problem by 2030. I ask you to do this together, also based on our hope, which is the most important driver, I know, to achieve progress from the present to the future. Thank you very much, and I wish you the best in your conference.
I'm just waiting on that check, so I keep myself in check. Grandma probably thinks I'm homeless. Please, Lord, send that Christmas bonus. Could you send it all through Venmo? Could you make my life crescendo? Push that button like Nintendo. I'll be waiting in your end zone. I got colors in my head, feel them swirling round and round. Turn the brilliance into millions, wear these light bulbs as a crown. If you tell me turn it down, I'll just turn it up real loud. Grab your ibuprofen, cause I'm going ancient till I make it. Same shit. Same shit. You don't save money, you're a bad bitch. You already know. Don't blame me for a fool, cause I'm average. Yeah, you already know. You don't save money, you're a bad bitch. You already know. Baby, I can be a savage. Yeah, you already know.